success is envisaged, then it is not worth the title. Hello die-hard viewers of Managing Africa, you're welcome to yet another amazing edition of the program. Today we will be meeting with someone that the African Union found worthy to appoint as the Youth Ambassador for Peace in the whole of Central Africa. He is also the Executive Director of Local Youth Corner, Cameroon. Ladies and gentlemen, he is no other than Christian Achaleke.
I was born in Fiango, Kumba in Cameroon. I was a victim of violence and radicalization from my early age. I witnessed firsthand how economic deprivation and lack of trust pushed young people, my peers, into crime and violence. I was full of hate and had no interest in reconciliation. This is the devastating reality of the prison system in my country. Due to lack of adequate rehabilitation and reintegration programs, an incredible opportunity to help inmates change their life is being missed.
Cameroon Achievers categorized him among the under-14 in 2020. He was also grouped amongst the most influential young Africans in the same year by the African Youth Awards. He is the Executive Director of Local Youth Corner, Cameroon, one of the leading civil society organizations in the country. He is an international development, peace building and violent extremist expert with 15 years of experience working as a practitioner, researcher, and in academics. One of his current projects at the moment is the Nawiwi Sports Jamboree, a sporting event to foster social cohesion between internally displaced persons and host communities. The Nawiwi Sports Jamboree has as theme, "We play together, we be glad together." The event is going to feature activities like dancing, handball, basketball, and football. The event begins from July 9 to August 27, 2022 at the Lycée Polyvalent Bonaberi in Douala, the littoral region of Cameroon. And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's meet with the international development expert, Christian Achaleke, and I am pleased to let you know that recently he was appointed by the African Union as the African Union's Youth Ambassador for Peace in Central Africa. It is a pleasure to have you on board Managing Africa today.
Thank you very much, Nadine, for having me, and finally we're here.
Yes. Now tell us about your role as the Ambassador for Youth for Peace. The Youth Ambassador for Peace.
Oh, yeah. Basically my background in work, it's in diplomacy and at the same time in international development and working at different levels of work from community to national to global. And within the African Union, they have what they call the Peace and Security Council, which is one of the biggest organs because it reflects on peace and security issues across the continent. And globally, there has been this conversation of having young people to be able to champion conversation on peace and security because issues of security and conflict really affects young people, and there's the need to have those who could help change the perspective of young people seen as problems to young people seen as solution providers. So within the African Union Peace and Security Council, the develop a program to be able to appoint key young people from the continent representing each region. The AU has 5 regions, Central, Eastern, and Southern, and Western Africa, and Northern Africa. So, and they go through this process of identifying based on the work you've done, your experience, your mastery of the conversation, and then you have an official appointment that comes from the heads of states of Africa. So it goes through a whole process. And I was given the opportunity to lead the Central African region. And by this, I have 11 countries under my leadership, where I have the mandate to advise the African Union. I have the mandate to work with young people, to work with heads of state and countries to be able to shape this perspective. Last week I was in Burundi with the president of Burundi, and which was still against this backdrop. So we are 5 of us across Africa.
And I am curious because recently we saw you in Burundi, but what was your mission?
Part of our work is supporting the African Union in the Peace and Security Council session. So every month they have this meeting. It goes virtually, it goes physical. So in Burundi, we were having the month of May's session at the African Union Peace and Security Council. I was in Burundi. And my mission there was to be able to meet with young people who are doing different things, you know, in terms of employment, in terms of entrepreneurship, in terms of peace building, to see what they do. And I worked alongside with my peers, the other ambassadors, and the African Union Special Envoy on Youth. So that is our team in terms of work. So in Burundi, speaking to the head of state, I had the opportunity to be received by the president of Burundi at his palace, and we reflected on issues around how can Burundi take leadership, considering that they have been through war before. And as a Cameroonian, you know, from a country where we have similar challenges, it was also good to learn how they could be able to come out of conflict and stabilize as well. And after that, I met with the First Lady, where we talked about issues of how we could be able to support their country in terms of training young people, creating opportunities for young people. Basically, that was a mission, but it was very interesting, and I should say it's one of my most interesting missions for the year.
Over the years, we have seen you doing so much to transform the minds of the youths, not just in Cameroon, but in Africa at large. What are some of the challenges you've come across to be able to achieve this?
Well, I think that trying to do the work that we do, there's a lot of challenges, but one of the main ones where it starts from is the fact that being a young person wanting to solve a young person's problem, it's very tricky because communities actually do not really see young people as solution providers. They see young people as troublemakers, they see young people as beneficiaries only. They see young people to be only on the fringes of wanting to rush behind the government to get jobs, you know. In the context of Cameroon, we see a lot of young people running behind ENAM, ENS, and all of that. Very few want to create jobs. And that was something that used to happen. But now things are really changing as well. I am finding it even much more interesting because I'm not doing it alone now. There are many more people. I remember when I started in 2007, I used to be crazy, you know. People not believing, your parents would think you are crazy because you don't want to write a concours. But continuously it's changing. We are having young people now who are doing it differently. So I feel that the challenges that we used to face is getting better. There's a whole challenge around resources as well to do the work you do. Because it takes money, it takes time, it takes capacity, it takes knowledge, it takes know-how, which are some of the things that we don't have. And unfortunately, in terms of school training in our context, very few young people really have that skill to autonomize themselves, you know, to get to do it the way. So it's a challenge. Also, between young people, there's sometimes greed, disagreement, and all of that. But I think it's getting better because people are getting to understand that it's supposed to be collaborative to change. It's not just Achaleke. Achaleke is one person, but it's a whole team and a whole group that works to put out what sometimes you see out there. So I mean, I should look at it from that angle.
In your opinion, what are some of the fundamental problems of the youths?
In terms of problems of young people, maybe I should answer this question because it's been 15 years working with young people, and I've worked across 50 countries, and I've met a lot of young people. The problems are almost the same. The problem of a young person in America is almost the same, what we have in Cameroon, and it's around their exclusion. I call it the violence of exclusion. Excluding young people from opportunities, excluding young people from politics, excluding young people from governance, you can name them. It's a big issue because it does not give us the opportunity. We will suffer the most to be able to be part of the solution. You know, in Cameroon, young people make up over 70% of the country's population, meaning that the problems that we face, we suffer it the most. So that exclusion is a big thing, and I see it everywhere. Another challenge that we have is in terms of the skills and capacity for young people to be autonomous. Our educational system has not been able to effectively, do that. And so you see young people with very good degrees. I mean, in my office when we're recruiting, you see a 3.5 GPA cannot write a good application letter, does not have a good CV. I mean, many more. So I think that's a big issue that we have in terms of capacity, in terms of know-how. I think that we need to work on. I mean, the generic ones, unemployment, poverty, we know these generic ones. But for me, I don't want to talk a lot about the problems because I'm always amazed at how young Cameroonians have been able to grow beyond the problems we have in this country. And even across Africa and the world, young people are making it differently today. And interestingly, we have young people now in the list of billionaires in the world.
Interesting. Let's look at entrepreneurship in Cameroon, to be precise. What is your opinion or what is your appraisal of the entrepreneurship in Cameroon?
In terms of the ecosystem of entrepreneurship in Cameroon, I should say, firstly, there's a big improvement. Many young people.
Thank you very much. Thank you. But you need to leave some last words before you go.
I would tell our viewers to believe in yourself. I used to be among the last people in class. Okay. And I'd been dismissed because I was 5 average. But it didn't scare me. Let your past not scare you, but it should inspire you. Today I'm a lecturer in university, but I'm a third class student. I had scholarship with a third class degree, and I can keep naming them. This is to say that believe in yourself. Your past should inspire you than destroy you. And even when your parents feel disappointed because you're trying to become who you want to be, just be consistent. These are my thoughts and my last words for them.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sis.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've heard it from the Central Africa's ambassador, youth ambassador for peace, and there's been a lot to learn on this edition of Managing Africa, but we've come to the end, and we are urging you to continue watching the program because we have more editions coming up subsequently, and you can follow us on Dash TV News on 6 p.m. every Saturday. Thank you very much and have a lovely day.